further proof that that theme song can fit with just about anything. Hi, I'm Tyler, and I'm here to let you know that the BFG is No Perfect Movie. So in the BFG, a young orphan girl named Sophie, played by Ruby Barnhill, is abducted by a giant, played by Mark Rylance, and he takes her to Giant Country to prevent her from exposing him and other giants to the world. But she soon becomes friends with this giant once she learns more about him. He likes to travel to this place called Dream Country. He loves to catch dreams, good or bad, and distribute them to kids on Earth. And she agrees to help him prevent the other, more dangerous man-eating giants from invading the human world. Ruby Barnhill gives a very well-done debut performance as Sophie. She has a very likable screen presence. She's not written like a conventional orphan character who only cares about having a family. And she's very smart for most kid characters nowadays. For example, whenever she needs to escape a giant, she knows exactly where to go. For example, climbing a plant that's sitting on a window and to climb through the window. And she knows exactly when to go, whenever a giant isn't looking or has left the room. Which is very refreshing to see a kid character this smart and this very well acted. And when she's interacting with the characters who are obviously CG'd, she acts very naturally in the environment, particularly when she interacts with the giant herself. And Mark Rylance is very charismatic as the BFG himself. Even though he spends most of the movie talking in Roald Dahl's made-up words, and he's talking to characters who we all know aren't really there with him, he still has very good chemistry with Barnhill in a very father-like way where he watches over her, provides her food, clothing, and wisdom through his dreams. And he takes great pride in his work catching dreams, and he understands which dreams, good or bad, should be given for whether to teach kids a lesson or to comfort them in a certain way. And the scenes that are set in Giant Country were absolutely breathtaking to watch. John Williams' score knows exactly when to be whimsical and when to be suspenseful, and the effects, in my opinion, look absolutely flawless. The giant's skin and clothing look very photorealistic, very fully detailed up close or in the wide. Everything is up to scale. For example, in one shot, a giant could look normal size, but Sophie can be yay big on a table in like the exact same shot, which is so cool to look at. And whenever the BFG is actually like picking Sophie up with either his hand or on his shoulder and he puts her somewhere else, like on a table or on the ground, these scenes are all done in what looks like one shot, which is even more impressive to look at. And when we do see the world in which the giant finds and catches dreams, the setting is so colorful, so bright, and so visually creative that my jaw was just on the floor. Now, the problem I had with the BFG was specifically in its last third, where Sophie and the giant come up with a plan to defeat the more evil man-eating giants, and it involves spending a lot of time in the real world on Earth. And I won't spoil it, but when they first tell us the plan, it just sounded so stupid and out of place. But after thinking about it and considering how the plan works out in the end, it actually does make more sense, and there is some very, what I thought anyways, very clever visual gags. But the last third just went on for a little too long, and it didn't feel as magical or as dark as the first two thirds were in Giant Country. Because there were some dark moments. For example, a BFG would be harassed by the other man-eating giants because of how pacifist he was, or we experienced the BFG implanting a nightmare in someone to teach them a lesson. In the third act, you didn't get anything like that, and just felt a little too sappy. I know that I'm in a Spielberg movie, but it just seemed weird even for him. So I never really read Roald Dahl's book, and I can't really attest to whether it's faithful in terms of its tone or its story. But what I can say is that if you were expecting a darker, more mature family film, you're not going to get that in this movie, and that might upset some people. But in terms of the relationship between the giant and Sophie, the amazing effects and cinematography, and just the creativity that was in Giant Country, those elements were just so good that I am so glad that I saw BFG. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care.